have differences with, as Hillary says, you can't be civil. We are now criminalizing differences. You know, the whole witch hunt issue that the president talks about, where the power of intelligence forces used to stop one candidate that they protected from the law, who committed felonies, lying to FISA courts with unverified information one opponent pays for, and then disseminating it with a media strategy to make it look like something happened that didn't. And after that, 2 years of investigation, they want to destroy people they disagree with. That is the modern left today. I don't want to destroy anybody. I don't want to boycott anybody. I don't want people, I want people, everybody has a choice. I can't make people watch Hannity or listen to this radio show. I do the best programs I can, and people have all the power. But that's not enough for these groups.
No, because they can't win. They can't win on the electoral basis. We saw that with Donald Trump defeating Hillary Clinton. That was the last straw for the George Soroses and the far left, the Media Matters, all of these people. Once they went down in the presidential election that all of them thought they were going to win because they had the media in their pocket and still do, then they said, you know what? We got to abandon the free marketplace. We have to now go and assassinate people. And this is very similar to what happened in Germany, bringing it back to the...
And by the way, you're not saying that, it's funny, I saw some press. You're not saying that people today are like Nazis killing people. What you're saying is that there are similar lying, propaganda, misinformation, demonization, very different from saying that there are death camps.
Yeah, look, that can't happen in America, thank God, because our structure is still in place to prevent anything like that happening. But I'll tell you what, Antifa, no different than the SA. George Soros behind the scenes with tens of millions of dollars, all right, funneling it into agencies that are bent on destroying human beings. When we talked about this last time I was on a program, what happened to Brett Kavanaugh, every American should pay attention to that. Because if that guy can go down on uncorroborated, then anybody in this country can. And as you rightly pointed out, they tried it with Trump on the Russian collusion. That's collapsing all over the place. The Fusion GPS guy who put out that dossier, taking the Fifth Amendment now, won't testify. What does that tell you? Okay, so, we're living in a dangerous time.
Let me add something to this. I'm agreeing with you. What really got exposed to me that scares me a lot, and there's two things. One is we have a dual justice system. We don't have equal justice or equal application of our laws vis-a-vis, look at Hillary Clinton. The biggest obstruction of justice slam dunk case ever. But the problem here is we had one party literally before the American people, you mentioned Kavanaugh, abandon all principal constitutional law and these and literally core values that have served us so well, which are due process, the presumption of innocence. The Republicans, for the first time in their life, did something right. They handled it with the seriousness the topic deserves. They were thorough. They did it right. And at the end of the day, there was no corroboration to the allegations being made. And now we see people like, Eric Holder Kickham, we can't be civil Hillary Clinton, get in their face Cory Booker, or Maxine Waters. You see these cabinet people, you get a crowd, and you follow them into grocery stores, department stores, gas stations, and you tell them, we don't want them nowhere anymore. That's what she said. Nowhere, no place.
It's amusing that you ran down the list, and we could add 10 more. And then Trump goes to Montana and makes a joke about the Republican candidate for Senate there slam dunking a reporter, and it was obviously said in jest. And the press goes wild, crazy, yet all the things that you pointed out are somehow overlooked.
It's not overlooked. They don't care. Yeah.
Well, because now they're in concert. The American media is in concert with the Democratic Party. And I don't think that's ever happened before in this republic, where the 80% of the media now is promoting a political party. So it's going to be fascinating to see the backlash in the election coming up in November. I do believe there will be one. I don't know the extent of it.
No, I don't think anybody does. I think anyone that says they know doesn't know. I don't think a lot of people saw what happened on 2016. Now, I said it's absolutely possible that Donald Trump is going to win. Then
I said 5 days on the factor 5 days before he was going to win because people didn't like Hillary Clinton. And they were either going to stay home or vote against her, and that's exactly what happened. But I just want to reinforce this because I know you can't say it on your TV and radio show. But what you
go ahead, you say it, then they're going to attribute it to me, and then I get in trouble. Thanks a lot. Hannity lets O'Reilly say the stuff he won't say. Great.
You have no idea what I'm going to talk about because nobody ever does, and nobody tells you.
I don't even think you or me either know what we're going to say before it comes flying out of our mouths.
No, but what you do every day, I mean, you're putting in 4 hours a day doing commentary, and then you have to go home, but you have to have unbelievable security surrounding you. That should never happen in a free society.
It's never been like this, Bill.
And you're not the only one.
Oh, I don't talk about it. Yeah, right.
You know,
Let me tell you, but Bill, look what they've done. Look what they've done to the president.
The right and the conservative commentators are all in danger. And this is, to me, I'm saying to myself, this has got to be exposed, number one, and it's got to stop, number two. And you can't have people telling emotionally disturbed individuals, hey, surround them when they're in a restaurant. I mean, Maxine Waters should be investigated by the Ethics Committee of the House just for saying that.
Bill, we have seen now in two major cities many riots break out. We have two politicians, Republican candidates in Minnesota, have been punched. The guy was cold-cocked in a restaurant, got hit from behind, and he's got a concussion, and the healing time is a minimum now of 6 weeks. One of the people that were punched was a woman.
Yeah, a woman.
You know, look at Pam Bondi, Secretary Nielsen, Sarah Sanders, Ted Cruz's wife, Heidi. Now we're going after women and children? Look at what's been said about Melania, Ivanka, on a level of cruelty that I've never seen. And by the way, unfair. Melania, she is one of the most lovely people you'll ever meet.
I know.
Same with Ivanka.
And where are the spokesmen on the left condemning this? On CNN,
nowhere.
They won't use the mob word. Well, what is Antifa? Okay? You're not going to say the word mob. Now, if it were the Tea Party, Hannity, you know damn well CNN would be saying the word mob, okay?
No.
But what exactly are those people clad in black with masks on? A gang? All right, maybe a gang. All right, but they're organized and they're out to hurt people, and you don't care? You're not going to use the word mob? Come on.
I'm worried in many ways that we're losing the country. We're so divided, and I don't think Rand Paul is too far off. I mean, this is the canary in the coal mine, a preview of coming attractions. If this continues, somebody's going to get killed or severely injured. We're that close now. It's like a tipping point. You can see it on the horizon. I don't want it to happen. By the way, and I'll say to any conservative, keep your hands in your pocket, and just because you disagree with somebody, be respectful. Respect their families.
Don't do that.
Don't do it.
Don't go down to that level. Look, we've already had the shooting at the softball field.
You're right.
Which was undercovered by the national press. You know, Steve Scalise, everybody who watches Fox News knows the story, but if you just watched MSNBC, you wouldn't know who Steve Scalise is, and you know what happened to him. So you're right, and that's what I'm talking to you about today, and I'm trying to raise
I want to hang on 1 second. Because I want to talk a little bit about your book that's called Killing the SS, The Hunt for the Worst War Criminals in History. It's on his website, BillO'Reilly.com, Hannity.com, Amazon.com, bookstores everywhere. So I read your book and I finished it, and what I learned from the book is the effort of the world and how hard it was to track down these Nazi war criminals, I mean, it took decades.
Yeah, because at the end of the war, the United States was facing Stalin and the Soviet Union, and they didn't want to basically go back to the Nazi thing. They had defeated them. So Patton, who was occupying the southern half of Germany, he didn't care what was going to happen to the SS, so they got away and they scattered. And they were helped by the Red Cross, which is based in Switzerland, a neutral country, by fledgling CIA people who wanted the SS to spy on Stalin, and by members of the Catholic Church for reasons that are just almost impossible to comprehend. Maybe they didn't know how bad the concentration camp stuff was in 1945-46.
Tell you what, I wish we could tell the whole story, but we're just out of time. Bill O'Reilly's new book, it's called Killing the SS, The Hunt for the World's Worst, for the worst war criminals in history. But I will tell you, looking at modern-day Islamic radical groups, ISIS, Al-Qaeda, that's evil in our time, and it exists.
Same thing.
All right, congrats. Number one, New York Times, BillO'Reilly.com. Thank you, Bill. Appreciate
John,
taking the time.
Appreciate you having me on. Thanks.
Well, our callers have more interesting ideas than most Republican or Democrat congressmen. Well, the Democrats just want an open border. Open borders, open markets. Don't go away. And meanwhile, they forget that you're actually supposed to serve the audience you're broadcasting to. And the audience is made up of American people, at least in this country, who want their lives to be better. And right now we have a situation where America is under assault. It's under assault from politicians who are urging people to intimidate and harass individuals because they disagree with them. It's under assault at the universities, professors who think the American founding is just corrupt. What America was built upon is horrible and rotten. And we're under assault at our borders by lawlessness, criminality, and a gaming of the system made possible by an unholy alliance between the cartels and the left in the United States, along with some Republicans who just love the cheap labor and don't want to raise wages. And meanwhile, we have 7 million job openings in the United States, but still we have millions of people who need to work, need gainful employment. And when we do immigration, the immigration should be merit-based. We need tradespeople in this country. And illegal immigrants, what you end up finding out is that illegal immigrants become, sadly, for the United States, just another. It's just another, I think, sad indication that we've lost our way. And I can't even blame the illegal immigrants. I mean, I can't even blame them because we did this to ourselves. Other countries don't do this. We did this to ourselves. But now it's got to stop. Joining us now, Michael Caputo, of course, former Trump campaign advisor, Republican political strategist. He's involved in some of the key races in New York. He also has a great podcast called StillStandingRadio.com. So just go there, StillStandingRadio.com. You can listen to Michael, who has his finger on the pulse of what's happening in this midterm cycle. Michael, it's great to talk to you. I think the Democrats made a huge miscalculation in embracing these caravans of people who want to storm the border. I think most people from all walks of life across this country find now this is all a bridge too far.
It is, and I got to tell you, I saw that Chris Cuomo primetime last night. Steve Cortez is a warrior for the president. He really is. He's a Latino, and his parents came here legally, and he endures so much defending the president's policies, including his immigration policies, on CNN. It's just amazing to me. I appear on CNN often as well, but I look to Steve as a model. I know when I get off CNN after defending the president, I get so many threats, some of them death threats. I'm certain Steve gets the same kind of feedback from CNN viewers, and yet he goes on every day swinging for the fences. I'm so proud of him. And you're right. The Democrats signed up for this, and I think they're going to pay for it.
I think that, again, people who work hard for a living trying to take care of their kids. Just, they don't have the money to send their kids to fancy private schools. They're just out in the country and they're working, and they'd like to take a vacation every now and then. And they see that the economy has improved so much under this president's leadership. And then on the other side, they see chaos, identity politics, constant cries of racism, an embrace of illegality, and now open borders, which is, it's been the case for some time, but now it's literally they want open borders. It's beyond clear. And I think this blows up in the Democrats' faces morning, noon, and night if the Republicans do the right thing here and hold on to this issue and actually pass legislation to stop this. This is an emergency, what's happening to this country.
It's an emergency now with that caravan coming towards the border, and I think the president is standing tall. I've been in politics since the Reagan era. I know you have too. We first met in Washington back during the Reagan years. And, I worked for Jack Kemp, and it was people like Jack Kemp and Ronald Reagan stood up for this country and had backbone. And unfortunately, over the years, we really haven't had a president like Donald Trump that had backbone and would never have stood up to these caravans coming up against the border, would never have stood up for Justice Brett Kavanaugh. And you saw what happened when the president just said simply, nope, I'm not looking at another nominee. You're going to have to approve and confirm Brett Kavanaugh. We saw spines grow in senators we didn't even think had them anymore. I mean, Lindsey Graham was a hero. Chairman Grassley, a hero. Susan Collins, a hero. And it all emanates from the strength in the White House and the immigration issue. He has not backed down. You remember when he came down that stairway in Trump Tower, and in his speech, which shocked everyone, he promised us he would. And they tried to conflate, like you mentioned, illegal immigration with immigration. And they've tried to do that over and over and over again, and they're still doing it today. But it's not working because the average man and woman working every day in America, taking their lunch bucket to work, dropping their kids off at school, they understand the difference between somebody who jumps the border fence and somebody who comes here and stands in line and does it legally.
You're listening to your Healthy Radio Addiction, 855-40-LAURA. Every poll that's been done in the last few years on immigration shows that most people want legal immigration either to remain the same, and that's 1 million people a year, it's a lot, or to be decreased. So it was like 37% want it to remain the same. That's a Gallup poll from June. 37% want the level to remain the same. I'm talking legal immigration. 29% want it decreased. Okay. 28% want it increased. Now that's legal immigration. And those are the inconvenient facts that people like Chris Cuomo, they don't want to deal with, because when you live in a doorman building in New York, you don't have to worry about illegal immigration. It doesn't affecting your life. Your kids go to the best schools. Your kids are, probably driven to work, driven to school, but you don't have to deal with illegal immigration. And you don't have to compete with a legal immigrant for a job and find that, wait a second, they're doing the IT work I used to do for 30% less. So, the facts are people don't want this.
You're right. I live out in Western New York, where it's a very blue-collar area. And in a year or so, we've seen, truckloads of illegal immigrants arrested at a 7-Eleven on their way back from a construction site where they were working. We've seen a chain of Mexican restaurants in Buffalo where they pulled out a whole load of workers, where the owner of the restaurant was housing them and paying them in cash. He just got found guilty the other day. This kind of crackdown needs to continue, because I'll tell you, in Western New York, in Buffalo, where we used to be a strong steelworker town, we're not anymore. We're starting to come back under the leadership of President Donald Trump. But men and women here need these jobs, and they know who's taking the jobs. They know what illegal immigration is all about. And the Democrats and the mainstream media spend their time trying to gaslight them on this issue, talking about how important immigration is to the United States, when they're really, the issue that they're conflating is illegal immigration. The president isn't against immigration; he's against illegal immigration, and I think the American people see through it. You know, my wife is an immigrant. We went through the whole citizenship process, the immigration process, and then the citizenship process. It's difficult. It takes time. And if you got to hire a lawyer, it's expensive. But my wife will tell you it's really worth it. You know, and the problem she sees is that she's surrounded by people, we're all surrounded by people who are here illegally, some of them overstaying their visas and et cetera.
It's infuriating. And again, I say this repeatedly. You can't blame the people who are trying to get here, because they've been given a green light, probably from their own governments in one way, shape, or form, and they've been told you can come and stay. So people who just want to come here and work, I don't even blame them, but it can't happen because without a border, you're not a country. Reagan said that. He was completely right. A border exists to help you maintain your sovereignty and to protect your own people. An orderly process of immigration is what we need. But look, the chaos at the border is not dissimilar, Michael, to the chaos that we've seen in the streets in the aftermath of Kavanaugh. And the Democrats prefer that, because if there's chaos, you need more government. Government grows, government gets bigger, and the Democrats are never happier than when the government is growing and growing and growing. That's what they want.
It's true, and if your listeners liked what they saw during the month-long confirmation process of Justice Brett Kavanaugh, the screaming in the hearings, the people running down the hallways of the basement of the United States Capitol, screaming at senators, the people trapping senators in elevators illegally and screaming at them for the cameras, the mobs of people outside the Capitol, and after he was confirmed, the people trying to literally scratch with their fingernails through the metal doors of the United States Supreme Court building. If they liked that, they're going to love 2019 if the Democrats take over the House of Representatives. And you know, Laura, if the election were held today, we would lose the House. The Republicans would lose the House, because a lot of people who were not measured well by the polls in 2016, they call us deplorables, right? That people who hadn't voted in recent elections because of their frustration with issues like illegal immigration, thinking that their vote didn't matter at all, they found a champion in Donald Trump, someone they thought a non-politician could make change for them. And, you know, in a midterm election, those kinds of folks tend to think, well, I got my guy in, I'm going to go ahead and sit this one out. And they don't take their lunch break to go vote. They don't drop their kid off early at school so they can go vote on the way to work. Or they don't, you know, skip the birthday party after work to go vote. And this time around, they better do it, because they think the